Welcome back to Trauma Unfiltered, episode 3 with January and Amber. I have the best guest today. Her name is I can't wait. I'm so thrilled she's on. You guys, I have so much to say, but I'm going to let her say a lot. But her name is Brooke, and she is the mother of a young girl that, well, I won't tell too much of the story, but I did help Brooke with some placement for her daughter. And we have formed a relationship and have been through some things. And her experience with Utah in general matters because I think there was some patterns here. And anyways, I'm just so excited because yeah, wait till you hear this. January, will you read her bio for us?
Yeah, I am going. Oh, look at this thing is moving with me. Okay, I'm still a little like new technology. I'm a Gen X, obviously. Brooke is passionate advocate and a dedicated leader committed to creating meaningful change in her community. She, along with her husband Kyle, owns and operates several successful companies, leveraging their expertise to support their I guess endeavors leveraging their business ventures not only serve as a foundation for their family's livelihood but also enable them to contribute significantly various charity causes aiming to make a tangible impact in the fight against human trafficking. Say it.
Ashland.
Oshlin, I know you be on here, you guys are going to just love us through this. Was established. When was it established?
The end of 2023.
Okay, 2023. An organization born from their very personal experience and deep conviction to protect vulnerable populations. Under their leadership, Oshling, did I say it right that time?
Nope, Ashland.
Oshlin. Oh,
You're right there.
I know. We had this talk before we all saw you guys, but just so you know, we're gonna get there. Collaborates extensively with regional nonprofits and community partners to raise awareness, provide critical education, which is so huge, empowering families affected by exploitation. Their work is driven by commitment to foster lasting change and support survivors on their journey to recovery. As a devoted mom and wife, Brooke aside resides in Dallas, Texas, Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex of North Texas. Together with Kyle, she actively participates in initiatives focused on human trafficking prevention and survivor recovery. Their combined efforts exemplify and profound dedication to, I might have said that wrong, community service using their experiential success, personal passion, and advocacy for justice and hope. How long have you been with Kyle?
Oh my gosh, almost 15 years.
Really?
Yes.
Sweet. Yes. And he's right there with you. Is he part of the whole organization?
Oh, he is. He is definitely part.
Yeah, that is amazing. All right. So, Amber, or what now say it for everybody to know. Say it in a full. You are the founder and director of.
I am the founder, executive director, leader extraordinaire of Ashland.
Okay. They need to spell that correctly. Or I need to learn how to pronounce. I this so my audience knows I asked her 6 times and I still slaughtered
It's fine.
it.
Brooke,
So bear with us. Now she's gonna be on there and share this powerful story. So
Yes.
Brooke, talk to us. I know that just start just start from the beginning, wherever you want. This story is so impactful, and the people who are going to listen to it, it's going to ring super true to them. So take
Well,
it from
thank you,
wherever.
Amber and January. Thank you guys for having me, honestly. I just want to echo what you both have expressed and that, education and awareness I feel are key. Because, human trafficking is such a hot button topic right now, but I really feel like people just think it's Hollywood and it's the wrong side of the tracks and it's everything that it's not, right? And I just appreciate you being in the fight to help us overcome, for lack of a better word. So, yes, so Ashland, it is Gaelic for keep dreaming. And that is just such a crucial part of our story. And I will get to that in just a moment. So, my sweet girl, Natalie, she was interstate human trafficked when she was 15 years old. Here locally, I feel like, unfortunately, um, I've been introduced to people as, hey, remember the girl that was trafficked from the Dallas Mavericks basketball game? Or the mom of the girl that was trafficked. And I'm Brooke. Her name's Natalie. And, it's just this big conglomerate thing of disorganization, but I'm glad I could be here to talk about it. So, yes, she is great. She has a great relationship with my husband. He's actually not her biological dad, but he did adopt her when he did formally adopt her just January of this year. I know, but he has been her dad ever since she was 2 years old, and he, came into our life, and he hasn't left her side since. But
Brooke, do you have any other kids?
I do. I have
Okay.
a 22-year-old. He would be upset that I referred to him as a kid, but
Oh,
sorry, it's fine. He is 22. He graduates from Texas Tech this December, and I'm so proud of him
nah,
always
that's
because he is also part of this story, and
right.
I think for a minute, a long minute, I think he was kind of overlooked. So I'll be able to talk about that as well. So yeah, so when my daughter Natalie turned, 13, 14, it was all the things, right? Boys, friends,
Mm,
wanting to be accepted. She does not have a good relationship, or she did not at the time have a good relationship with her biological dad. And I have since learned, through therapy that kind of manifest in, unhealthy relationships and just kind of clinginess and just all the things. And she kind of fell into that trap pretty early. And April of 2021, she ran away for the very first time and
mm,
scared the bejeebus out of me. It scared me to death. In my head, when she ran away, she was 14, and you you would have just thought I assumed she was dead. It was this terrible thing, but I
right.
really do believe with every fiber of my being that that first time it was God kind of preparing us. Hey, something else is coming, and I need this to not be new territory for you. So,
Really?
yeah, so April 2021, she ran away for the very first time. I say ran away. We panicked and assumed she was headed towards the border. No, she just left with a friend of hers and some boys. But that was kind of the beginning of all of this.
Right.
And she came back eventually, and and then she would run again, and then she would come back, and then she'd run again. And so we struggled with this running thing, and I used to say running for lack of a better word, right? She was really just hanging out with friends
Right.
where she shouldn't have been. So we've been dealing with this for over a year. The day that this happened, it was April of 2022. I went out of town with a coworker of mine. We were doing some team building, and I wasn't even in town. And my husband had a great day with her. I remember him saying they played games, they hung out all day, and he was going to take her to the Dallas Mavericks game that night. And she'd been countless times before, same seats. He had reserved seats up on the Lexus
Mm,
level. Like everything was familiar, right?
right.
She'd done this before. Um, you know, there was nothing odd about it. She had not only been to the game with him before, she had been to the game with him for years. I wasn't really a fan, so he would always take, Natalie and her brother to these games. So she knew the seats, she knew where the bathrooms were, like nothing was out of the ordinary. And that that night, the Dallas Mavericks were playing the Trailblazers. I'll always remember that. And
Right.
I was out of town, and he messages me because like I'm working, and he messages me, and he's like, I don't want to alarm you, but I can't find Natalie. And I'm thinking, so I immediately kind of went to anger because I was like, who leaves their dad at the basketball game, right? Like, who
Right.
does that? I'm serious. She will roll her eyes, but like, I'm serious. Who does that? And
Right.
so I was thinking she was just kind of walking
She's
around the stadium, just being a total a-hole, like honestly.
right.
And but I could tell that something in my husband's spirit, it wasn't the same. Because, and I think a lot of that is because they had had such a great day leading up to it. And I had said, well, find her and she'll be grounded. Like that's it. And I kind of let it go. And but again, I just something started gnawing at me. It was gnawing at him that something wasn't right. And he contacted, security at the game. There was police officers at the game. He talked to them. He said, I can't find my teenager. She said she needed to go to the bathroom. Um, Nobody would take a report. No one would really even
Really.
even talk to him. And he, went down to the lower level. His eyes are just scanning everybody he sees. And he can't find her. They won't take a report. So he's like, what do you want me to do? Like I can't just leave without her. And they said,
Right.
well, you need to go home and file a report with your local police department, which made no sense. Um, but I think in following direction, and doing, what the police say, that's what he did, right? Like
Right.
that's kind of what we're taught from when we're little is, the police are there to help you. If they're telling you to do something, like you should probably do that. So that's what he did. He went home, and to this day I can't imagine what he felt driving away from the stadium knowing that she's there somewhere. I mean, she didn't just disappear in a helicopter. Like she's there.
Right.
So, and I'll come back to that night, what we found out later. But, he goes home and again, she'd done this before, or not to this degree, but she had just disappeared before. So he kept thinking, she'll just walk through the front door and she'll be grounded and it'll be fine.
Um,
And that next morning I called him and I said, did she come home? And he said no. And, just a little bit of my anger kind of started to tick to worry.
right.
And I said, do you want me to come home? And he's like, no, no, no. She'll come back. She'll be back eventually. Um, Called him later that afternoon, still nothing. He had made a report with our local PD, nothing. Like no, nothing. Like she literally just disappeared. And it was getting close at this point to the day I was supposed to come home anyway. So he said, go ahead and come home and, when you land, we'll go to the police station. He's being a lot calmer than I would have been, right?
Right.
And we go to our local police. So, sorry. So I fly home. Uh, Nothing. No phone calls, no emails, no social media posts, nothing from her. It's like she just doesn't exist. And we went to our local PD and I had said, thank you for taking a report, but like it's been 3 days. Like what should we be doing? And they just said, we have a report, we're looking, but this report should have been taken in Dallas, where she disappeared from. And that
Right.
made total sense. Like they can't go to Dallas and look at footage from the stadium or
Right.
or it made no sense that he had to go home. So
When you're already parents are probably like in a panic, right? Like,
yeah,
and
I'm starting to panic at this point because there's nothing.
now you're being fed wrong information, running in circles, and you're on day three
Yeah,
right now, right?
yeah, I'm like a cat chasing my tail, just
Mhm.
both of us. So
And how far is Fort Worth from Dallas?
a good 35 minutes,
Yeah, I
45 probably more so.
I've been to Fort Worth, and well, my brother was stationed there in the military, and I went to go see him when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just kind of weird. And so I told my husband, I said, I'm gonna go drive by the stadium and just see what I can find. And he was like, she's not there. But
Oh yeah.
as we do, I was like, well, I'm gonna find out for myself. And I drove down there and I went through as many garages as I could that, weren't locked, and there was nothing. I was looking for her clothes. I was looking for weird looking people that might have seen a girl. I don't know what I was really looking for. Nothing. And so we came home, and I was pretty upset at this point because I just can't describe. It was just sitting different, like in your soul, kind of like as a parent, like it just wasn't the same thing. And that night I had a lady that like I'd been friends with on Facebook, and we had already announced on Facebook that like we couldn't find her, that if people that knew her could just kind of keep their eyes open for her, right? And she reached out to me, and long story short, she's like, hey, I know this guy, my daughter has been involved in some pretty bad stuff, and he's always been so helpful to her. He's a private investigator. He can, help search for her where maybe police are falling short. So, I'm just kind of like, okay, okay,
Right.
like what? And she's like, just call him, just call him. The worst that can happen is he can't do anything.
Right.
So I called him, and he said, okay. He was just so calm, and he said, just send me a couple pictures of her, just side profile, smiling, not smiling. I didn't know, and that's another thing. Why am I sharing pictures of my 15-year-old with some man I don't even know?
Right.
But I digress. So I sent him these pictures, not even really fully understanding what he was going to do with these pictures, but I just sent them and went on about my night. My husband and I remember, we're just sitting in this big house, just the two of us, just like willing her to walk through the door. And he calls back around, it was like 11:30 that night. I'm literally climbing into bed. And he said, and, I answered, and he's like, so I think I have a match. And you see the blonde. I was like, a match for what? Like what? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, I ran her pictures through some software, and I think I think
Um,
I have a match, but it was only like 80 something percent. So he was like, it might not be her, but it might. So I said, okay, send me the pictures. He said, I can't. And he said, because it's on like a sex ad site. And I was like, okay, like I still wasn't really piecing together what that
right.
meant. And he said, I can't send it to you, but he said I can kind of guide you and tell you how to find what I found. So I was like, okay, fine. So he showed me, oh my gosh, pearl, talk about pearl clutching. I was looking at this website like, what in the world?
Right.
And then I saw her, and I couldn't I couldn't even recognize her. Like it was like my brain was blocking. Like, is this really her?
Oh yeah. You wanted to disassociate from
Because
it for
yes,
sure.
I think I was trying to dissociate. I
Yeah.
don't I can't even describe it. But so much so that I started taking screenshots, which now I find out I shouldn't have done. But I took screenshots and I sent it to my mom, to my ex-husband, to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Is this her? Like, I think it's her, but I need y'all to look and tell me if this is her." And it was my mom
Let
coming
me
back
let,
saying,
let
"Yeah,
me ask real quick.
yeah,
Did the police confiscate all of your phones?
yes."
And that's because it was like sharing child
Well,
pornography?
well, I shouldn't say they confiscated. They did do a data dump on them just to see, I think just to kind of rule out that we weren't somehow involved.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Because of the screenshots.
Well, I told them the screenshots were on there.
Right.
And I was I'm sorry, you can do with that what you will, but they weren't
Right.
like
It's
super
common.
vulgar, like
Yeah.
like they could have been, but still probably shouldn't have
Yeah.
had it. But it is what
Okay,
it is.
sorry, just
I
keep going, keep going. So yeah, no, this is a moment where a mother's your
yeah,
world your
yeah.
world is now changing. Like this is a moment where you've never looked back from, right?
Right.
Right.
But
Yes.
tell me,
And I like that you said that. This was truly pivotal. So, he's like explaining to me, she's for sale. And I was like, Why?" Like, again, my brain just, would not function, like it would not work. And I mean, I think I'm a pretty smart person, but I could not fathom. And but the investigator we worked with, he gave me kind of a silver lining in a weird, twisted way. He said, "But this is good. This is good information." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because now I know where she is, and there's a phone number." And I was like,
Yep.
"Oh my gosh, give me the phone number. I'm going to call it." And he was like, "No." He said, "No, because if you call it, you could jeopardize like her safety."
Yeah.
And so he
Yeah.
was like, "I need you to promise me that you're not going to call it."
So,
And
hey, I want to ask you, Brooke, before this
yeah,
moment, were you involved at all with human trafficking or had anybody
no,
around you or
no,
like even like anybody locally, like on the news? Have you ever
nope,
just, so, okay.
nope.
So
Yeah.
this was
But
just like right in front of your
Barely
face.
even like if you were to tell
yeah.
me to describe it to you or define it, I don't know that I could.
Right.
Really.
Right,
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So it's like right in my face. And so I said, "Okay, so you have the phone number." And he goes, "I'm going to make some phone calls." And he said, "I need you and your husband to pack a bag and go to Oklahoma City." And I said, "Okay, where in Oklahoma City?" He was like, "Just drive to Oklahoma City, just drive north." So we did. We like middle of the night, we just started driving north. And I kind of asked him like, "What's your plan?" And he was so sweet and so matter of fact. But he said, "Well, I'm going to call the police and I'm going to tell them what's going on. And if they don't act, I'm going to call that number and I'm going to make a date with her." And I said, "Well, then what?" And he goes, "Well, then I'm going to take her and I'm going to give her to you." And
right,
he was so matter of fact because he's done this time and time again. So I was like, "Okay, let's do one of those options. That sounds good." And but he got lucky. He called the Oklahoma City 911, I believe. He told them, "Hey, I have this evidence. This is who I am." I mean, they didn't know him. He's just some guy to them. And
Right. Right.
in the middle of the night, on a Thursday night, they were able to get their Vice team out of bed, strapping their boots on to go do a raid like that.
uh,
It He could have been anybody, but I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a God thing. I believe. I mean, come on.
And thank you to those crazy SWAT boys who just love waking up in the middle of the night to catch bad guys. We
yeah,
love them. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're hauling up 35 to Oklahoma City as fast as we can. Have no idea what we're going to do once we get there. Um, Fun fact, when we got there, it was really, really early in the morning, and there was I think it was at OU, maybe, I'm not sure, but there was some kind of big event going on, so all of the hotels were booked. And I'm
mm,
like, of course, right? So we get a room at this fancy, ritzy, way too expensive hotel because we
right,
had to have somewhere to go, right? And my husband was like, "I have to sleep," because he had just driven through the night, adrenaline through his veins. He's like, "If I don't sleep, I am of no use to anybody." So,
right.
Sure. Yeah.
we got to the hotel room, kind of sat down, and the vice detective calls us and says, "Hey, we did a raid on the hotel." Like they were able to identify which hotel, they were able to identify which location. Like I can't even tell you how they did it. I don't know. I don't know. But they were able to identify, and more or less in the early hours, they went in and I think they evacuated a floor and they just started kicking indoors. And they found, I think, 3 or 4 women that were involved and that admitted they were involved, but they did not find my daughter. And when they told me that they didn't have her, I lost it. And I will say
Oh,
that was probably the the second worst day of my life. The worst day being when I found out what they were doing to her. But the second worst day, because then I thought, "Oh, wonderful. Now they know that we're looking, and now they know that we're
right.
here, and now she's not safe, you know." And I had talked to this private detective, this private investigator, and I had said, "Oh my gosh, she's not safe. They're going to hurt her." And he said, and this is very frank and very dark, but he said, she's not really in as much danger as you think. And I said, how can you say that? Like, what do you mean? And he said, she's white, she's pretty, she's young, and she has braces. And they said she is very valuable because she
Yep.
looks younger. The braces made her look younger, and that upped her value.
Right. He's
And
right.
I just got so sick because I was like, wow, wow. And then he said, they're not gonna, he said they've probably addicted her to some things, but that's making her compliant. It's like no other purpose other than compliance. But
Right.
they said, I said, what if they hit her? What if they, do all these things? And he said, they're not going to, because believe it or not, and this is another dark fact, men, when they buy younger girls, if they're all beat up or they're hurting, like physically, like they don't like that because it makes them
Correct.
tie it to their daughter or their niece or a family friend. And then they're like, oh, now you're hurting people because they don't want to hurt people.
No.
Does that make sense?
It's so fucking twisted.
It
Yes,
is.
it makes sense to me, but what, like, in this moment when you're being told this as a woman who has no idea these grooming techniques, like, you're just being baptized in
You're
fire
right.
right now, like,
Oh,
what is
fire and
happening
brimstone. Yes.
in your mind and in your body, like, what in your reality, what in this moment you've just lost her for the second time. Now you understand these grooming techniques. The story has just gotten way worse, right? I'm getting the chills right
Well,
now, Brooke, because I remember your voice in these times, and it's you. Well, first of all, you're one of the strongest women I know, but
Incredible.
you,
second, I don't know how you made it through that, like,
I don't know.
cognitively.
I don't know. And I don't mean to be cliche when I say this, but like aside from like God's favor, like
Mm, fuck.
I've always
Yeah.
I've always been a believer, right? But
Yeah.
aside from God, I probably would have killed myself. Like this is
That's
the
rough.
worst thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, so they
Okay.
didn't have her. Now they don't know where she is. They couldn't find her pimp. They knew nothing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm trying to let my husband rest, because I need him. And I just remember looking out of this hotel room of this way too expensive hotel overlooking the city. And I'm just like, I don't know if she's eating. I know she's not on her medicine. I don't know if she's crying because she misses me. I don't know if she's alive. Like, I don't
Right.
know. I don't have any answers. And I just remember looking out and I was like, there was like a resolve of like, I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna sit here and wait till she's brought to me. Like, I didn't care if I died. Like, I was reasoning with myself of like, okay, I don't have small children. I am not like, if I died, my parents would, that would be pretty hard. And, my son, that would be hard, but he's already, 20, like he'll be like, I was being logical about if I don't make it, because somebody's getting their ass kicked is
Right.
pretty much where I was.
Yeah. Well, you get to a life and death situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was totally okay with like dying. And
Mhm.
like I was, because I knew she could have been dead. So at that point, so the police told us which hotel it was, and they told us to stay away. We did not. We
Yep.
went and parked in a like a business park kind of across the street, and we just sat in my husband's truck and just watched and watched and watched. And he was like, if we see her, what do we do? And I was like, well, you can stay in the truck, but I'm going to get out and run to her. And I, and they were like, he was like, what if that jeopardizes her safety? I was like, no, no, no. They should be concerned about their safety because a
Right.
mother, a mother will kill for their babies. And
Yeah.
people lose sight of that.
They do. They
They
do.
they
And
really,
it's feral, and it is chock full of hormones and adrenaline. It is like a
Right.
superpower, a
and it
superpower.
is like from in here, like it's from your chest. It is not oh, I'm a badass. It's I'm going to kill you.
It's
Yeah.
otherworldly. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And so we finally decided that we needed to go home. So we drove home, and my husband decided to stay at home because media was starting to pick it up. And my son was in college, and I was just like, one of us needs to be home, and it's not going to be
Yeah.
me. So you're going to stay
Yeah.
home. So he
This is why
stayed
I love
home.
this woman
Yeah.
so much. This is why I
Yeah.
love you, Brooke, because
Yeah.
no, she
And
is this energy. Keep
yeah.
going.
And I packed a bag, and while I was at home, the police called and they said, "Can you put together a bag of like underwear, a brush, a tooth, like anything that has her DNA on it?" And so I did, and that was really hard because I was like, "Okay, like what?" And they were like, "Go in her laundry, get like a pair of socks that she wore yesterday, get like a pair of underwear, get a tooth." Like he was like, the more DNA on it, the better. And I still have it, but it's a big gallon freezer bag full of my daughter's DNA. And they
Mhm.
told me, they said, "We don't think she's gone, but we're thinking about utilizing some dogs. This would really help." So I was like, fine. So I grabbed that, grabbed some clothes, um, and I drove back up to Oklahoma City, and my brother came out. And I'm sure now I think about it, I'm like, my mother probably had a heart attack that both of her kids were in Oklahoma City
Yeah,
hunting down
right,
some
right.
predator for her granddaughter. But I knew the police were looking in Oklahoma City. Like I knew they were working. I 1000% know they were working. They couldn't really do much. So my brother is absolutely fearless, and he took me with him, and we went skeezy hotel by skeezy hotel by skeezy hotel. And we finally came to the hotel that had been raided, and we walked in because I wanted to ask the front desk, like, "Have you seen her again?" And it was a sweet lady behind the desk, behind bulletproof glass, mind you, and she was,
Right. Oh yeah, we know.
yeah, and she was crying, and she goes, "You're her mom?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I am so sorry." And she was like, I can't talk to you. Like, like I'm not allowed to talk to you. There were some arrests, but she's like, "I'm not supposed to talk to you." And I said, "Is she here?" And she said, "No, she is not here." She said, "We have explicit instructions that if she is spotted, we have to call." And she did say, she said, "This hotel is under surveillance right now." So she's like, even if I didn't see her, if she comes, the police are right behind her. So she assured me my daughter wasn't there, and we left. And I've always kind of wanted to reach out to her because I just appreciated her being kind of with me in that moment, because she was just
Mm.
boohoo, and she just was like, "I'm so sorry." And I could tell she was someone from corporate, like she was not the front desk people that you would think. So my brother and I are looking. He has health issues of his own, and you guys, he was searching abandoned buildings with just by himself, just because it's like, if someone's going to find her, it needs to be us, right? And I started really going to a dark place that night because it was going on 24 hours since the unsuccessful raid had happened. And I was like, if she's not with us, like if she's gone, like I had to reason that with myself. Like
Right,
if she's not here, and this is the dark path I went on, what am I going to bury her in? I knew that I had just bought her an Easter dress, and it was still hanging
right.
in my closet. So I said, "Okay, I'm going to bury her in that Easter dress because it's super cute." And then I said, um, I was talking on the phone to my husband, and I'm like, "Should we get unfavorable news? Who do we call? Like what do we do?" And we were walking through that, like, okay, we're gonna have to tell my son, "Hey, you need to come home from college." Like we were maybe 12 hours from, "You need to come home." And we were very close to telling my parents, like, just because it was so dangerous. There was just, and I hate to sound silly, but like danger everywhere. It was like red flags in your brain, just like, this is not safe. And so the next morning, my brother left. He had to go back, and our private investigator from Houston drove up, and he said, meet me at the Waffle House. We're going to talk, and we're just going to watch people all day." And he said,
Well, that's a place to watch some people too. Waffle House ain't no joke.
"Oh,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, this PI knows some shit.
I'm gonna tell you,
Yes.
as a teen, I've spent a lot of my addiction and I had nowhere else to go but a Waffle House.
I mean, Waffle House is great,
It's
but
so it is good, but there's some interesting characters that come through that place.
yeah.
Waffle House is a fucking trip, is what it is.
Yes.
So we're sitting in this Waffle House. This is the first time I've met him in person, mind you.
Oh,
So I just like walk in and I'm just all like, "Oh, hi," because that's just me. And he's like, and he's finishing breakfast and he's just taking his time. And I'm like, "So what do we do?" Like, I'm like, "What are we gonna do?" And he's like, "Well, we're gonna get in my truck and we're gonna sit in the parking lot and we're just gonna watch people. We might follow people." But he's like, "We're gonna find her." He's like, law enforcement is working with us. So he's like, "It's fine, we're gonna find her, but it just may take all day." And I'm like, I'm ready, right?
and so they were pretty for sure that she was still in Oklahoma City.
I kind of had thought she had left, but they were pretty sure that she was there. So the night before, come to find out, they did arrest her pimp. They happened upon him. I don't remember the whole story, but they just kind of happened upon him and he ran and the police chased him and they found him and they tackled him. And the first thing they asked was, "Where is she?" And he, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." And then one of them told me later, he said, "Is she alive? Like now is the time. If she's not alive, you don't tell me anything else. Just tell me she's not with us so I can tell her mom."
Right.
And he goes, "I don't know." He said, she just walked off earlier, which, as y'all know, that's not, they don't just walk off. They don't let value like that just walk off. So they kind of, like, they arrested him, they took him in, but they didn't really believe a lot of what he was saying. So, so I'll continue my side and then there's like Natalie's perspective. So we're coming out of the Waffle House, me and his name's JB. We're coming out of the Waffle House and we don't even make it to his truck and another truck just zooms in front of us and he kind of gets in between me and the truck because he's like, "What's going on?" And it's the Vice team. They were all undercover and it was the lieutenant and he goes, "We got her." And I'm like, "You got who?" Like,
Yeah, yeah. At this
like,
point, you're wondering if it's like
yeah.
someone that has information
And
or
"We got her." And so then I just step on his running board and I'm like, "Okay, can I like take me to her?" And he's like, "No, there's like a crime scene. Like, how police get, they get really like callous to it."
Stupid.
And he's like, "It's
They
a, it's a crime scene." He's like, "No, I just got to go by myself." And he drove off and he said, "Meet us at the police station." And JB goes, "You need to text him and tell him you need a picture of her. Number one, to make sure it's actually her. And he said, number two, you need to know if she's alive. Like, that is the least they can do for you, is tell you if she's alive." So I was like, okay. So they sent a picture of her and I can show you that picture. But it did not look like her. It did not. It absolutely did not look like her. Um,
so by the time so when she was taken from Maverick Center too, that when they found her was what, 14 days? 10, well,
it
how long?
was right at about 10 or 11 days. Yeah.
10 or 11 days. Oh yeah, that the transformation, not only with the trauma,
Mhm.
the manipulation, the drug use, the environment.
the lack of sleep.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
That-
Brooke,
That's her when she was recovered in the back of the police car. I don't know if you can see it super good.
Yeah.
So, um, they said,
Did they do anything like cut her hair, color it, do anything different? Was that
not yet, but she looked pretty rough, and I'll get to that. So they had said, "Meet us at the police station." So we drove to the police station and waited there. I swear, like a day. It was so long just sitting. And then they called and they said, "Meet us at this hospital." So we
which
started
is
driving to,
interesting that they really can't. I thought it's like
they
again,
didn't know if there were people looking for her. Like, they were trying to keep her moving so that nobody would know, like on a police scanner, like where she was.
okay.
And so they were like, "Go to this hospital." So we started to, and then they called and said, "Nope, we're going to a different hospital because there's media at the first hospital." And they were like, "She does not need to see media right now." So we had to turn around and go to another hospital. And
I don't
Oklahoma
think
City's pretty
people,
big. Huh?
Brooke, I don't think people realize at this point it's made national news.
It's made international. We got reports from London.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is like the hottest news topic, both locally, nationally,
Yeah.
internationally. Like you're being
Yeah.
probably, and it's the press who have listened to the police scanner, and that this is why they're at the hospital, right?
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
are like, oh, no, we're going to a different one. So, but they just wanted to get to the other one before the media found out about the other one. So, we're going and finally, we get there and there is police just everywhere. Like, give me, like, calm down. That's what I wanted to say when I walked in. I was like, everyone just needs to calm down. But
Go
they were
the
so
fuck home. Yeah,
yeah,
go home.
but they
Yeah.
were so formal and so just like, who are you? Who are you? And I was like, I'm her mom. Take me to her immediately.
Right.
Who
I
the
don't know how
fuck
much
are
more.
you? Yeah, who the fuck
Yeah,
are
who the hell
you?
are you?
Right.
So took me back to her. She was so happy to see me. But let me skip around. So let me tell you what really happened. So she said that when the raid happened in Oklahoma City, she was there. They had moved her to another room. So she heard the whole thing. She didn't know it was about her and she kind of thought it was a fight. So she was kind of scared to come out. They had her on a lot of drugs. So she was really kind of discombobulated about what's all the just not really knowing. And her pimp was afraid he was going to get arrested. So he did flee. She was walking and trying to kind of come out of like her drug, like off of like her drugs. She was trying to kind of sober up. And she found a man and he had stopped her because he recognized her from the media. And he had said, I saw you on the news. Oh my gosh, let me help you. And she's like, okay. And so she went with him to his apartment and he ended up being a predator. And he raped her multiple times over several days. Very,
Mm.
very violent man, very not so from one horrible situation into an equally horrible situation. Um, but
Ah, poor girl. Oh my God.
it's so all these horrible things, but the way she was rescued was he had been the man the second man that she was with, he was on a lot of drugs. And she said he kind of seemed like he was overdosing and that kind of scared her. So he agreed to let her walk down to like a 7-Eleven to try to get him some medicine. And she said she was so beat down and she was just, I think she had been raped like that morning. But she was walking down the street and she said she was just praying and she was just like, God, I can't do this anymore. And like she will tell you now, she had a resolve of like, I know I'm probably gonna die. Like,
Right.
can this just happen like today, please? Like I'm done. Like I have no more fight in me. I can't do
Mm.
this. And she just said, please God, just whatever, And she said, not like a minute later, just a police car pulls up next to her and is like,
Oh,
are you Natalie? And she's
oh
just
my
like,
God.
yeah. So let me tell you this perspective of the officer that got her.
Oh my
The
God.
officer that found her was not even supposed to be in that area.
Mm.
He it was like the end of his shift. So the last thing they want to do is find a missing minor
Right.
because the paperwork and I mean, like, I get it. He hated that area because it's so bad and he always has to fight and it's always like something, going on in that area. And he said when he saw her, he kind of went past her and he said he felt something in his chest that was like, nope, you need to stop. So he was like, fine, and backed up and was like, are you Natalie? And she said yes. So, he quickly, got her in the car. And then right when he got her in the car, the man that she was with came out and started acting a fool. And he said he called for backup immediately because they tend to think of girls as like property.
Right. Oh
And
yeah.
so he's like, this guy's like, oh, that's my friend. Like she's just coming back from the store and just whatever he was saying. But from what I have learned, there might have been some brandishing of a weapon. So they did not want Natalie to have to see like a shootout or something in that ilk. So as soon as backup arrived, that's when they did the whole hospital shuffling thing. But he wasn't even supposed to be there.
No.
Wasn't even
Did
supposed
they
to be
get
there.
they arrested that man, right?
They did arrest that man.
And Natalie saw some of the commotion and she saw him fight like
Yeah, she saw like the fight, but she was like, she felt safe, but she was really confused. Again, like with the drugs, she was so confused on what's even happening. She didn't even know she was in Oklahoma.
mind
Right.
you, she's 15 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And she's probably never been out of state without a parent.
no, never, 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 never. And
Never.
so when the officer told me when he was getting close to the hospital, she said, what, like, does my mom know, or where's my mom? And he goes, your mom's going to be at the hospital when we get there, if not immediately afterward. And he said she just like let off, like this huge weight had just been
Mm.
lifted. And when I got to the hospital, police everywhere, police in her room, like, and she goes, she was so confused. She was like, why are all these cops here? And I was like, uh, well, you were like sex trafficked. Like, she was like, yeah, I know, but she's like, I'm safe. Like, you're here. And I was like, well, they don't think you're safe because
Right.
apparently people can still try to come for you when you're in the hospital. Like, your
Well, I
pen,
mean, now the whole world, these predators now know that she's groomed, right?
yeah.
So they know, but her face is plastered all over the
Oh,
news.
yeah.
So Natalie has no idea that every predator on the planet now can ID her as a groomed
Yeah.
victim.
Right.
Does she know about the news at this point?
No, no.
Okay.
I
Okay,
just
keep going.
wanted to get her back to Texas as
Sure.
quick as I could because the laws in Oklahoma are a little bit different. And I was like, if I can get in Texas, I won't have to come back to Oklahoma for anything. I need to get to Texas. So, she's like she talks to the police. They want to do a SANE exam, and
Right.
she declined it at first. She was like, I just don't really feel like it. And the advocate was like, well, that's completely your choice. And I about came unhinged. And I was like, yes, a SANE exam is 1000% your choice, but this is the only way we're going to be able to prosecute. So guess what you're doing? You're doing a SANE.
Right.
And there was a female detective that came in. I mean, I've never been around so much law enforcement in my life, but a female detective came in and she said, hey, I just drove over from the station. I just want to talk to her for a minute. So just kind of talked to her, got some details about the guy they currently had. And she goes, okay, I'm going to go back because we have him in custody, but like he hadn't really broken the law. So they were like, we need to formally charge him or we can't keep him. And so, you know, did he hurt you? Did this happen? Did this happen? And she's confirming all of that. So this detective goes back to the police station and is telling him, she says you did this and this and this, and he's denying it. Oh, she told me she was 25. She didn't even look 25. Like, come on. And
Right.
finally, the detective told me, she goes, well, she's about to do a SANE exam. So if none of your DNA comes off of her, then you're good to go. Like you can leave. And he cracked right then and was like,
Right.
Oh,
okay. And the detective goes, am I going to find any of your DNA in, on, or around her? And he said yes. So he
okay. So,
Is that guy in prison?
no. So he was actually released after 1 year after serving 1 year in Oklahoma because he wanted to take it to trial. So he stayed in the county jail, which is like double time. So they gave him time served, and we didn't get a trial.
okay.
What?
So
The other
this
guy, her
this
actual
story
pimp,
actually
and the females that were arrested, uh, specifically the female that actually took and posted the pictures of her, they're in jail for the next decade or more. Like
okay. All right.
permanent sexual predator, all that.
So yes, these injustices happen a lot and it's absolutely infuriating. And I am I hope that man burns, like for a while. And I want Natalie to know that, like that, a decade
And
is
the
not
thing
enough.
is, he was already a sexual offender.
But
And
it's
Oh,
not even really
Jesus.
the least, I mean, I
I
will tell
can't.
you, the actual last guy that had her that only did a year is absolutely disgusting. At least the other one's got like a
God.
double
well,
digit, right?
it's
Right.
kind of like if you've already hurt a kid once, I understand
Seriously.
rehabilitation, but why
Seriously.
even give you a second chance to do it should you decide to
And
do it?
Brooke, I'm with you. At this point, the judge who let him off the first time should be complicit in the offenses that take place from Natalie and here on after. I'm fucking tired of it because this same shit happens in Utah all the time. They under
Oh, girl.
sentence these perverts, and then like before they go to prison, you got to kidnap someone 3 times. How did we get here?
Right.
Aw. Well, let me keep telling my story
Keep going. This story gets way. This story, yes, Brooke, continue.
oh yes. So she's in the hospital. She does a SANE exam. Everybody's in jail. I'm like, we just need to get home to Texas, right? Like that's priority number one. We get her home. She's, of course, traumatized. She's a shell of
Right.
herself, like not even present. And before all this happened, like way before, we had plans to put her in a wilderness program. And I will tell you, the wilderness programs get a lot of bad rap. They do. They do.
Cross
They do.
mine.
It's
Yeah.
well, it's like especially in Utah, Colorado, there have been so many documentaries.
Oh yeah, it's so many.
The one she was at was called Open Sky, and unfortunately, they're out of business now. But they called me because they had heard about Natalie's story. Because again, they were going to admit her like before this even happened. And I had said, oh, well, now she's faced all this trauma. I just don't think the wilderness is like the best thing for her. And they said, actually, no. While she's in that catatonic state, we can make some pretty significant breakthroughs. So we had her in Colorado and then over to Utah to start a 90-day wilderness program within a week. And let me tell you, I saw the most growth in those 90 days than I ever saw in any
Oh,
other treatment center.
Brooke, I'm telling you, and my whole life of like the exploitation and all this stuff, the program that's done the best for me is wilderness and then psychodrama.
Yeah.
Those two modalities of therapy are hands down anything somatic really for me is magic.
Well, and they were so sweet. So she had to be on all these antibiotics, right? And all of these psychotic drugs just because of everything that had happened to her, not to mention all the narcotics that she'd been on. They had to kind of detox her. And I was so in a bad way because I was like, she's in the wilderness having to go through all this. But those therapists were calling us almost daily with like, we're going to help her with the antibiotics. We're going to help her detox. We're doing all of that. Do not worry about her. She is doing phenomenal. And I was like, what if she runs again? And they were like, well, we're in the wilderness. So may the odds be ever in your favor. I mean,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so she did that. And then when right before she was finished with wilderness, it was decided that she still needed care, which I kind of expected. And we had contracted with someone we all mutually know,
Mhm.
and yeah, she was going to help us, and we got her up to Alabama. She went to a treatment center in Alabama. She was bullied pretty relentlessly there, and she ended up running from that facility. She was gone. She wasn't trafficked again, but she used and was gone for multiple days, again in another state. So in my mind, she's gone in Alabama and she's in some dude's trailer and he's playing a banjo and
Right.
but no, so we found her and this person that shall not be named helped us get her into the Huntsman in Utah. And I will say, people can say what they want about Utah. I love Utah. I was just talking to someone today about Utah, as a matter of fact. But y'all have the best mental health, everything. Like
Mm.
far and away, at least
Shannon,
compared to what I have.
January and I, we work in behavioral health and like we do all these things. So like I'm sure both of us strongly disagree with this, but Huntsman is fantastic. And considering like where we've come with mental health, yes, they're doing the end on. I'll continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So
I do believe that Utah youth sh are are very forgotten in our money here.
well,
So,
and maybe and I'm not naive to it, but maybe it could have been because of the press surrounding Natalie's story.
maybe.
So that's fair. Like
Yeah.
that's fair. I can recognize that maybe we had a leg up there. But she started at this one place called Solstice,
Uh,
and they have multiple locations, so I can't tell you which one. But that's because we were told it was a secure unit because I told them she's a runner. She's been through so much, like she will run. They didn't believe us, and she left. A girl dared her to run, and she ran, and she was gone for, I think, a week on the streets of Salt Lake.
Tell, tell them. So she left. She went to the gas station and tell them what happened from there
Wh-
or from the Walmart. She left the program and
yeah,
on foot.
yeah, she left the program on foot. She went to the Walmart, and I think she shoplifted. Um,
Oh,
I
Natalie.
mean, that's one way to be caught, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
but we were looking for her, and the huntsman ended up. They admitted her once she was found that time. Again, drugs, all the things. The huntsman admitted her inpatient, and then she went to the not the 10-day inpatient, but like the inpatient. The more what's it called? Not IOP. Anyway,
PhD, partial hospitalization.
yeah, thank you, PHP.
Yeah.
So then she went there, and then they started the IOP, and we had to come up to Utah and stay, which was really hard because my husband owns multiple businesses, but we did it. And we were in Utah. We were staying at the Ronald McDonald House right in Salt Lake City, and they were so
And
kind.
how many months after she has been rescued are you doing IOP now with her? Like she's at a lower level of care, she's not running. Like what?
Probably
How many?
no, yeah, probably a year.
About a year.
So IOP, she is doing it. Is she doing it well? She's doing it. Still struggling with all the trauma, but she's doing it.
And
And
she's been doing a year of therapy. So she's got a little bit of burnout at this point, right? Like she's
yes,
like,
over therapized is what they,
yeah,
yeah.
yep,
So, because yeah, she was sick of talking about it.
sure, sure.
So, but then 3 days before she was supposed to graduate the IOP program and come home, homegirl runs again.
all right,
And I'm just
Natalie.
like, punch me in the face. Like, what in the world? And through some mutual friends, they've told me, like, this isn't like regular running away. This is a trauma response. Like,
Right.
this
Hmm.
isn't
This is
her
Yep,
trying. Yeah, she's not seeking freedom so much. She's trying to get away from her
yep,
trauma. She's trying
yeah.
to, her brain has told her, hey, if you just do some methamphetamines, you won't have to think about this.
right.
So
And it's
that's
true,
what
but the
she's,
problem is that's true. It's true.
yeah,
If she does
exactly.
do some meth, she doesn't have to think about it, and her body will remember that for the rest of her life.
Absolutely. Like she knows now I can't be around meth because she's like, I
Right.
would probably use it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but she ran again, and I was like, when we find her, I was like, I don't know what to do. We just were this close to finishing the whole program at the Huntsman, which is not cheap. When she was recovered, the Huntsman let her come back and start all over. Like welcomed her with open arms. And I was shocked.
How
And
long was she gone? How long was she gone?
5 days, maybe.
And of course, you're working with, and at this point, every time she runs, you have like officers all over, right? We've got Texas task forces, we've got Utah law enforcement, we've got
Because
everyone coming to the table. Like
she's
people
such
are
a target because of all the media. She was such a
exactly.
Right.
target. They're like, someone's
Yeah.
gonna snatch her up. And I was like, I'm gonna snatch her up. I'll tell you
I,
that.
Right. Which is
Brooke, I
which
remember.
is really unfair to her too,
It
right? Like
is.
that
It
is,
is. But at the
and
same,
even the organizations that were involved at that time should have definitely buffered a lot of that, because that we have that there is stories of that out there that, like, when
Mhm.
it's not even the predators that are targeting her now. It's nonprofits, it's law enforcement, it's everybody wants clout, and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I feel that that part, like, no one there is running for her. Like, she gets permission to run from that, because
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
shit is so
yeah,
overwhelming, and so many people trying. Your
Yeah.
daughter doesn't want to be saved. She doesn't, and I don't even really like the word rescue, right? I hate that fucking word. That's just not a word that I fall into. She
Yeah.
wanted to be found, right? Like, she wanted someone to
Right.
find her.
But
And
she wasn't running like to be a jerk teenager.
yeah,
Like it
and
was
so
different.
I just believe that, I mean, and it just sucks because there's this vulnerability with her.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful that it was short. Like, hey, 5 days here, 3 days there, 7 days here, and somehow or another you are able to help her get back into a program.
Mhm.
But the story that people use with that is just nutto to me, because it's not your story to tell, it's hers, right? So when
Right.
there's
And
media and law enforcement and
there's
everybody
always a
involved,
different perspective. There's always
yes,
a
yeah.
different lens like to
Yes.
look
I
at it.
remember there was agents flying in, task force guys flying in from Texas to Utah, and even a little bit of contention from Utah law enforcement and the Texas guys. The Texas guys were like, "We're coming in. This is our girl. Like, we're coming to find, you know what I mean?" Everyone had like an emotional attachment to like the situation, right? And
Yeah.
this whole time, Brooke, I just remember you just, girl, you were on fire, ablaze, and I think you stayed on. I'm getting the chills all over, and I swore to myself I wasn't gonna fucking cry, but
If you
truly,
have to cry, that's okay.
truly one of the most inspirational moms I've ever met in my life. I identify with your rage. I identify with your fire. I identify with your whole fuck you to everyone. I love it. I think it's the most beautiful quality in you, and I just want to breathe so much life into it, girl.
Thank
I
you.
This
Thank
was
you.
rough. This was rough. It was high profile. You stood on your ethics and your faith and for your family, and you never gave up, even when it was the hardest. Because, yes, this girl was a runner, man. She is a
Mhm.
track star.
right?
Track
Yeah.
star.
So
But
she
I also,
finally came home for good right after her 17th birthday. And even when she came home, she was still like wanting to use, but like her brain was wanting to use. She did not want to use. We moved to East Texas for, just a summer to see if maybe a slower pace, would be easier for her. It didn't matter. She wasn't fitting in anywhere. And I had the stupid notion of like, we just need to get her back to school, like try to get her into a routine. That was dumb. She
Right.
just, so, it was just kind of figuring out what worked for us, but it was a race because we were in litigation with the hotel that had her in Oklahoma City. And the whole deal was we needed it to settle or go to trial before she was 18. Because I think it changes because like once you're 18, your parents can't protect you as much. And I was going to protect her if she was 25 or 18 or 30 or 40. I didn't
Okay.
care. Like
I believe that.
she
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it, it was just like we were fighting for justice, but I'll tell you where the big injustice came in was October of 2022. So going back a little bit, uh, Natalie was in treatment, and so Dallas PD finally agreed that we could come file a report now that she's
Huh.
already found and in treatment. So we go down and we file a police report with our attorney, and they take the report, and we get assigned a detective, and we're just kind of like, what's going to happen? Where's like, it's kind of
Why?
past the
Yeah.
fact. Well, because we wanted there to be a police report on record,
Yeah. Yeah.
we got a really good detective, really, really good. And the guy that took her from the Dallas Mavericks game, he was able to identify him. And he said, okay, we know who he is. He's already done this twice in Houston. So we got him again, like same
His
charges,
third, his
trafficking.
third kidnapping and trafficking charge, huh?
Oh, honey, the third that he's been caught for. He's
They
probably
should
done.
Right.
have executed this man. I'm sorry. Why is he
So
not dead?
yeah, so it's months, and this detective, he's so good. I forget his name, and I'm an awful human, but I forget his name, but he was good. He was trying, he was doing, it was assigned to
Oh,
him, and he took it as it was assigned. And so, October, November, December, he's trying to find this guy, can't seem to find this guy, but he's not
So he
surprised.
took her and then sold her to these guys in Oklahoma City.
Yes, he was
Okay.
part of that ring.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so
and they took take her to Oklahoma for that event that was happening, right?
I unclear on that still. But we did find out that the night she was taken from the game, she was taken directly to a house with two African American men, and she was sexually assaulted by multiple men that very night. But this guy that the detective is looking for is the guy that was leading that, which
Yeah.
ultimately led her to Oklahoma City. And he just couldn't find him. He was interviewing everybody he could from the security footage at the stadium. No, none of them would talk. And so
Yeah.
finally, it was January, and I get a call on a random like Tuesday, and they he goes, "Well, they've arrested him," and I said, "Oh, okay," and I said, where? And it was several counties down, like in between here in Houston. And I was like, oh, okay. And they said, well, but we can't extradite him because there's an ice storm. So we had a bunch of snow, which I know to you guys is probably laughable, but we had some snow flurries. So they shut down everything. So he was arrested, and then he had to just sit, and they couldn't bring him to Dallas because it wasn't safe. So it was like all this stuff, right? So they finally get him and they bring him, and he will not talk. This detective told me they offered him every deal under the sun, and he would not talk. They offered him
Really?
everything that they could, even if it was so unfair to Natalie, they still offered it to try to, because they knew that he was the little guy, right? And he wouldn't talk, and he lawyered up, and we attended every single hearing that this man had, even if it was just, a little 5 minute hearing. We attended every single hearing. And then right before it was to go to the grand jury, which would indict him and would bring it to trial ultimately, our attorney approached the DA's office and said, hey, I have a stack this thick for our civil case of Natalie's outcries, her therapy notes, all the things. Do you want this? Like, I will give it to you. And they said, no, we got everything we need. Don't worry about it. We have a solid case. Case was heard before a grand jury, and they no-billed him. So he was not indicted, and he was let go.
What?
So not
You
only that, he was
you
let
gotta
go,
be
and
a
he can't be
fucking
tried because he wasn't indicted.
Jesus Christ.
They
Wow.
basically said, there's not enough here to try him. And my thought is, if anybody brings anything to me that you did to a child, true or false, I'm going to go with it. And then I would like to find out that you're innocent, right? I'm not going to say, nah, I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what happened. They didn't even want to hear the case. And so then my attorney and my husband and I, we went back to the DA's office and talked to the district attorney of Dallas, Judge Crusoe. And we spoke to him again, and we said, we have all of this evidence that you didn't even present to the grand jury. So the grand jury didn't even hear everything. And we politely asked him to retry it to another grand jury. Like, and I even asked him personally, I said, could you present it yourself? And he said no, that he couldn't do that. And then he said that he's not going to do it. And he decided that it was a closed case and that they weren't going to hear it again.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
so crazy.
so the people in Dallas that did this and that started it, they're free. Get caught, but I hate that because I'm like at the expense of
Right.
how many more
Right.
survivors and how many more victims. Who's going to be the hero here and say, you're not doing this anymore, you're going to jail?
Brooke, this is the
And
thing
they,
is Natalie was lucky to have family who was going to come look for her and media that was going to come look for her. There are so many families that don't look for
Yeah,
their teens and they
yeah.
disappear off the face of the earth and sometimes don't even get reported missing. So I personally think the hero in this story obviously is you and then
Right.
Natalie for the
Well, it's
healing.
God. It really is God because I wouldn't have had the strength
Yeah.
outside of something divine that is
Yes.
way beyond me. Like
But you said yes, Brooke. You said yes, and that makes you a hero on Earth.
thank you.
So this girl comes from fire. She comes from fire. She comes from DNA that I know that she's gonna make it. I know this girl's gonna make it because she
She
is a
is going to make
reflection
it.
of you. Yeah.
She is going to make it. She is sober now. 2 years, 3 years. She's sober.
This is
She's
shit.
happy. She's, I was explaining to you guys before we started the call. She is 19 and very much lives like she is 19. She is
Good
going
for
with
her.
friends and boys, and she still has a lot of life to catch up on.
Yeah.
But she is finishing her GED. She has plans.
that's
That's my girl.
amazing.
And
Yeah,
she's
that's my
not just
girl.
going to take this on the chin. I mean,
Yeah.
on one hand, I hate that she was the catalyst for so much change, but on the other hand, it's like if if her story could be used for good, then that's fine. That's okay. Because
Hmm.
she is the 1% of the 1% that all of
Hmm.
this happens. And I'll tell you this short little side story. So I have a friend that does like outreach in Dallas to, girls in the life and stuff like that, just providing them an exit and, different resources. And they had recovered a girl, I think she was 13, 14 maybe, and she was nonverbal. She had been kept in the dark. Horrible things had happened to her,
Oh,
so she could barely open her eyes. She could not communicate. But when my friend got to be alone with this girl, my friend was kind of talking to her about like, can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me anything that I can relay, to law enforcement? And the girl motioned for her phone, and the girl looked on YouTube and found one of Natalie's media stories and was like, pointed to it, like, that's what happened to me.
oh,
And I told that to Natalie and she just started bawling because she's like, if she's the only person that my story helped, that's okay.
Uh, and this girl, like, her brain isn't fully formed yet. She's 19 years old. She has no idea how, like, magic. She has no idea. This girl is going to set the world on fire, and I can't fucking wait for it. I really
She
can't.
it's
she is, and she's on like social media and stuff, and she sees all these teenagers that are running away, and she's like, go home, like stop running away, because running away is kind of like the gateway to it, because you're running away, you think you're having fun, you think everything's in your control until it's not.
Yeah.
And by then your state's away. God knows what's happening to you. Adults are assholes. And unfortunately, some adults love to take advantage of others and love to hurt others.
So Natalie is changing the narrative of the nation saw her as a victim, right? And they saw her as a victim and a runner, and I remember seeing I was just disgusted. I couldn't be on the internet, right? Because I was
Yeah.
working so closely with it, but people were like, "Well, why is she still running?" I That was one of the, or like, "What's going on at home?" All these stupid shit. I'm like, "You are part of the fucking problem." But so everyone has had this view of Natalie, and now she's starting to change the narrative. She's sober, she's an adult, she's getting educated. What is Natalie like? What is Nat in this act? She's obviously a natural advocate. Like, it's coming out naturally and she's getting loud on the internet. But what? I mean, I know you guys are stepping into some political stuff and trying to make some policy and legislation changes and
right.
things locally. And you guys have gotten loud and you've taken your platform and you've used it in a very ethical, beautiful way. So
Yeah.
tell me, what's the plan? What are we doing here? Who are we fucking up? Come on, let's hear
Yeah.
it.
Well, we're definitely causing an earthquake. So, uh, when she was still in treatment, we were invited by a state legislator to come and testify because they wanted to change the law to be if there is a missing person in Texas, man, woman, child, adult, whoever, that it's that jurisdiction's responsibility to open a report and to investigate until or unless there is evidence that it has moved to another jurisdiction. Essentially, because Dallas shouldn't have punted us to my
Yep,
local PD in the first place.
Right.
That was the
right.
first delay, and so much evidence was lost in that. Cell phone towers, um,
Yep.
Well,
Either
uh,
even
because
just knowing who the guy
surveillance.
was that took her,
or
Do
there's
what?
people's ring
or the
cameras, right?
pictures, like even evidence of videos of her
Yeah.
walking out of the Maverick Center.
Yeah, so
Yep.
our attorney got to sit with
Or
the people that own the stadium and they showed him the footage and it's all right there. And he said the part that was the gut punch for him, our attorney, was he said if the officer that talked to my husband the first time had simply radioed down her description, you can see her and you can see officers like all around her, like, directing people and whatnot. But
right,
if they had had her description, they would have snatched her right there.
Well, these rescue stories, right? Like we get to learn a lot. And I know you, Brooke. I know you went. I know you will circle back on these people and tell
Oh
them
yeah.
about themselves. So
Oh, we're
let's
not
hear
done.
it, babe. Yeah, let's hear
Yeah.
it.
So,
What's
so
the
yeah, so
deal?
we testified to change that law. And then, from then I started our nonprofit and I've really been in the space of like helping the helpers. Does that make sense? So
Uh-huh.
like I know of a great team that works with the actual private investigator that we worked with, and they are huge in the rescue recovery space. Like they will
Sounds
kick
like
in a
it.
door. It's
Good.
easier if law enforcement cooperates, but if they don't,
We
that's fine
love
too.
door kickers. Bring
Yeah.
out the door
And
kickers. Yeah.
yes. And then I also work with a group that are amazing. She's a nurse practitioner and she has so much knowledge and works on stings and does all the things with healthcare, like
oh
aftercare for
yes,
survivors. Because it's not just the SANE exam, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
therapies, it's STD screenings, it's,
oh, it's all
Well,
of it.
I'm telling you, my
is there a
mental health.
pregnancy? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mental health still manifests physically today. That's why this
Of
somatic
course.
healing is so important for me
Yeah.
because I'll throw out a hip, with some trauma, like from a
Yeah.
nightmare or something. But okay,
Right,
keep going. I'm sorry.
No, but so what I do is, it's relatively easy for Ashland to get donations, right? That's what we want. But I have found that our story resonates different with everyone. For some
right,
people, it's legislative, like how can we change the law to make this not happen? Or how can I really help with aftercare for survivors? Or I want to help the guys that are kicking in the doors, that are willing to sit in a car for 3 days and track a girl and then go
Yeah.
get her when HSI says they can. So whoever they manifest with, like that's where we want to put our resources. And
right.
so, like for example, like my organization, we're about to do a like an online auction towards the end of this month, and all of those proceeds are going towards like her outreach. So she is literally boots on the ground outreaching to these girls, providing them an exit. But if they don't want an exit, here's some Red Bull, here's a coat, here's some
Right.
socks, here's some condoms, here, like here are just some
Yeah.
things to make it a little easier for you for when you are ready to make an exit.
Brooke, I'm not sure you don't know this. I'm sure you don't know this, but that's what January does here in Utah. That exact same thing.
Well, okay, then we're gonna have to talk because like
Oh
why
yeah.
could I not give to you? Yes.
Oh, well, did I?
Hey, okay, different
We
podcast. Different, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've been doing it for years, and I mean, Utah, it's a little scary to be in that space with all the, obviously, we're well aware of the fraud and the things that have gone on in Utah with
Mhm.
nonprofits that, like, it is hard for us, but it doesn't stop us.
Exactly. It's
But
a
we've been
hurdle,
doing
but
it for about
it's
eight
not a wall.
years. Yeah, we've been doing it about 8 years. We do an annual gala, and then man, we do night. So we do night outreach. So we don't like exposing people. We want them. And so those women, we love them. like they're, but you're right. Some of them don't want out, right? Like they're
And they
not
don't, and
ready.
that's okay.
That's okay. And they get all kinds of stuff from us. Don't they? They're hustlers. Don't think for one
Because
Listen,
minute that
I
they
none of
get
believe,
the
everything under the moon from me. All of a sudden, they're like, I don't like this. Well, what? I'm like,
well,
dude, come
we
on.
are called to be the light, the salt and the light, and we are called to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. And so we're not there to judge and to force them to make a decision they're not ready for. We're just there to meet them exactly where they are. And if that is in the middle of their addiction, or if that is in the middle of them going, "Hey, I need help getting out of here, help me." It's whatever, wherever they
Yeah.
are. And that's
Well, and
that's
it's
what we're supposed to
interesting.
do.
And it's interesting because part of my story is that I wish somebody would have knocked on the hotel door, right? And so
Brooke,
we not for a very long time. We knock on probably there at a time there was about 16 different hotel doors. We knocked on every door. It didn't matter if you were there visiting or coming through. We knocked on them, and some of them would answer, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "We're just out here outreaching. That's it." And then we'd go on our way. Some were rude, like, and some would go to run it, but and now we go into hotels or parking lots or high impacted, high crime,
Yeah.
high drug use areas. But part of ours, like, that's part of my story, is if I don't know what would have happened if somebody knocked on the door and said, "Come out to my car, I have resources for you." I don't know if I would have took them, but just nobody did.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And I can
so
Brooke,
tell you,
so I
all
didn't
three of
have
us
a
on this
choice.
call.
So I didn't have
Yeah.
a choice. So
Yeah, we all have a story here. And
mhm,
so I really feel like we're the fiercest ones, right? We're the
oh,
first line because we
yeah,
can say, we've been there, we've seen this. We're not just somebody that works for somebody else that's telling us to come out here and outreach or coming out here to help you. Like, we need that. My
Brooke, I'm
daughter
gonna
would have
tell you.
loved for somebody to come get her. So,
I'll tell you another, like, because I know that, like, you follow Christ, and so do I, and so does January. But there's another unique piece here that obviously is just God being cute. But January survived child trafficking, and has found in her experience and all of these things, right, that outreach was the most effective tool for her as a survivor. And I just find it ironic that you and Natalie experienced child trafficking, and you both have resorted back to an effective modality of what we can do right now, and that's boots on the ground. I just find it ironic that you both landed on the same path, you know?
yeah. Well,
uh,
and Amber, you know this from being friends with me on Facebook, but I will say, January, my from all of this, my husband has decided to run for office. So he is running for,
okay, okay,
yeah,
Uh-huh.
so he is
Kyle.
running for
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
state representative for our district, District 91. Um,
91. Almost.
Kyle
Yeah,
Morris, Republican
Kyle.
for Texas House. But I will share this because I literally just shared this with somebody today. He is not running against anyone. He is running on his own platform. And he says that. He says, I am running because something happened to me and my wife and my daughter that should not have happened the way it happened. And it's not going to continue to happen in Texas. And I mean, obviously, among other things, but that's like a big part of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's so great how he can bring his trauma
Yeah.
to make a difference.
Well, and and part of that, which is scary for some of the people we meet and the families that we meet, like, you guys had a few more resources, right? You could drive off, take off from work, have this
Yeah.
time, and you were willing to risk some of that too, right? Like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
show up to work for the next 7 days, 10
Yeah,
days to find my daughter, which we all will, right? But
absolutely.
we had what about the parents? What about the families that don't have any of that? Right.
Mhm.
And that's like who we need. Like, those policies and those laws, if they don't change, they affect all economic, right?
Absolutely.
Communities, because people don't have the ability, and then they don't have the ability to, like, they already, and some of our parents, some of them might have criminal backgrounds, and they can't even go advocate for their kid because they're already stigmatized that, oh, this is your problem, this is, you already created this environment for your kid, right?
A
Because
big issue here is ICE, like the immigration issue, and we have ICE everywhere. It's the immigration police thing here. And
we're gonna call them nice,
yeah,
national
yeah,
immigration.
but you're right. If their kid is missing and they're here illegally, they're not just going to wave the white flag and be like, "Hey, can you come help me?" Because
Mhm.
they're going to be arrested. Why are you even here?
All right.
Bingo.
Never mind your kid. We'll find your kid, but now you're coming
Bingo.
back and we're going to send you back to Mexico.
Well,
Like, what is that?
Bingo.
well, the
So,
other part
you
is
know,
part of my story is if it wasn't for arrest, I don't know what would have happened to me. Like
100%.
I will tell you that if I didn't get arrested in some of the situations that I was, like, I don't know if I would have had an opportunity to still be alive, really, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean because I was the perfect ingredient for a predator. And so when I went into the system at a really young age, I became more of a perfect ingredient for that system to exploit and take advantage of me too, which that didn't exempt guards, that didn't exempt other inmates because I went in so young. Um, but so those systems, but at the same time, at least I wasn't being moved, moved, and moved, and moved, and moved. I was in one
Yeah.
isolation. And so I have to see the silver lining in some of that shit, even though it's disgusting to think about. But where I'm like, and the other is like sometimes me and Amber talked about it. It's like some of these women are normalizing it because it's easier to be trafficked, sexually abused, assaulted, raped by a stranger than your fucking own father in your home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
It's this is a beast. This is a beast, and I love that
so
your
it's like
whole
this cycle. Like it's so heartbreaking that,
Yeah.
and the resources and the policies and the prosecution is fucking garbage.
Oh, it
yeah.
is. And you know what's funny is you talk to legislators and you talk to attorneys and they will tell you it's garbage. But then you're like,
Then they participate in it.
why aren't you changing it?
Yeah.
That's because they don't want to lose their seat, right? Because
I know they don't want to use,
they don't want
they're
to
like,
lose their
I don't
seat.
want to lose voters. I don't want to
Yeah,
lose. It's
they
Yeah.
don't
like,
want to lose their seat at the table. Then fucking create a new goddamn table.
but whatever,
Yeah.
yes, but whatever
Flip
happened
the
to
table.
what
Flip the
my parents
table.
instilled in me is you always do what's right, regardless of if it's popular. You always do what's right.
Well, I was
Hey.
raised by wolves, and my experience is a little bit different. But now that I've been where I'm at, I definitely I share. I will tell you this. I talked to law enforcement. Like you guys failed me. You know what I mean? You raided the property I was on. I was not a family member. I was not nothing there. I was literally a 16-year-old on a property you raided, which was like a 1% biker game, and you arrested me. Like you didn't even ask me one question. You didn't ask me why I was on this property, where my parents were, what I was doing. You just assumed that I was part of the whole. And then once you didn't notice me, all of my voice went away. And I said, if I say something now, I'm going to be targeted. And then I'm going to be a
Absolutely.
rat. Then I'm going to be a rat. But if you would have asked me in the moment, I could have changed that whole outcome, right? You could have got a felony 1 instead of a felony 5, right? And
Well, and
I
that's
did,
why the education and awareness piece is so, so, so critical.
Mhm.
It's to
well, it's
say,
so critical, but out of that whole bunch, the 16-year-old me got 10 years, 9 years, 364 more days than anybody on that property that did. And I went in at 16 because I wouldn't talk. So I got everything thrown at me.
well, I am so sorry that
Wild.
that
Uh,
happened to you.
Thank
I know
you.
that like it's kind of like after,
Now
but
I'm a badass about it. I'm like, dare you to fucking.
yeah, but that should not have happened. And I'm sorry
Oh
that
Yeah.
that
no, and I
happened.
share that with law enforcement, and sometimes they don't invite me back to talk because I call them out, and it's fucked up because you guys need to be educated. If
Yeah.
you ask three different questions, one, like it could change somebody's life. Not what's wrong with me, but what happened to me. Why are you
Yeah.
here? What
So
has you here? What, especially our youth. Like if you go into a trap house and you see 4 youth,
ask
not treat them
questions.
like delinquents. Say, hey, I'm gonna bring
Let
in
me
a
tell you,
therapist. Yeah, it's so disgusting.
yeah, there
Yeah.
is actually a Dallas police officer that is on our board, and he is phenomenal. But he has said just through education and awareness opportunities, just that he's been a part of and things like that, not just through my group, through just whatever. He has said he experienced so much remorse about how many times have I made a prostitution arrest and not asked questions? How many
Oh,
times have I found a runaway minor and just said, get in the car, I'm taking you back to your parents? How many times have I not asked questions? And to further that, a couple years ago, I went to Houston and I spoke to a group of child protective service like social workers, and I was telling them, ask questions. If a kid is skipping school, running away, using drugs, ask questions. Don't assume it's the parents. Don't assume that it's just a kid being belligerent. Ask the hard questions because
Yeah.
no one, and I can say this, no one grows up and says, I want to be a prostitute when I grow up. No one says
Right.
that.
No
No
one,
one
not
says,
one
I
girl.
know I'm only 15, but show me how to sell my body. No one says that.
No one, not one girl.
So
So,
there's
Brooke,
something wrong and the questions are not being asked.
right,
So
exactly.
I'm gonna be very real. I'm gonna tell both of you guys, and I don't care if it's part of this, but we might, because I don't think YouTube will let me load this long of a podcast, so I might have to do two parts.
Oh, okay.
But I will keep you guys posted, and that's dope for us because that is super cool that we will have our first part one and part two.
Dude, Brooke,
But I just
you
want
are,
you guys to be ready for that. Like I just,
yeah,
and this will be in here. But you have been absolute. I mean,
gem.
you are not only a fighter, but like there's this piece that that you're not just advocating for your daughter anymore, and that's pretty
No.
cool.
My
Like,
my daughter is sober and home and
and
well.
that's the part that's so cool because some parents will stop, right? Like that was too much,
Mhm.
much exposure, too much vulnerability. I don't want to bring any more light or whatever to our kids or whatever the story is, right? And
Yeah.
some back, but like that you took this and now you're not, you have no, you've done your job as a mom, and now you're fighting for other people, and that is so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm fighting because number one, my daughter did not get total justice, I feel like. But is
Amen.
there such a
Amen.
thing as total justice? I mean, I don't know that it can ever be made right, but also how many have the exact same thing happen to that they didn't have a mom that fought, or they
Mhm.
didn't have the
Exactly.
financial resources, or they didn't have
Exactly.
friends, like I
99%
can't.
of them. 99% of them.
Yeah,
So,
I can't. I am understanding of the fact that we are the lowest percent of the lowest percent. Like I venture to say the word lucky.
Right.
It's blessed, but truly
yeah,
none
how
of
did we
this,
get here? Yeah.
aside from prayer and God's just divine. He has a plan. I mean, I know he does, you know.
Yeah, Brooke, listen, so we've got a hard stop here, but I just want you
Okay.
to know, like, from the phone calls, in the middle of the night when Natalie was in her fast shoes and the fire in your voice and every time you said that you would never give up and through the tears, the pain, the rage, the fear, all of it, girl, you never, not one day gave up and you gave it your all. And I know that you were tired, but you never looked it or peered it or even sounded it. So I just want you to know that whatever you remember from that time, honey, I'm going to tell you in your voice and in your energy and in this reconciliation of what has happened to your family, honey, this new transformation, all of you are brand new. This is a new version of all of you, Kyle,
Mhm.
your son, Natalie, all of them included, and you guys have all transformed it into this is this is God's work, right? The transformation part is where I see God the most, and I'm getting the chills just saying it. But however we can help, I can't wait to just blast this podcast to
Blast away.
I mean, some law enforcement officers that were involved. I can't wait to show them like they don't get the circle back on like how the family's doing and what's going on. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to share because this is magic. So.
Well, thank you. And y'all are really inspiring me to come back out to Utah because I want Natalie, to meet you guys. I'm
Yeah.
really trying to plug her in with people that, can say, I know what you went through.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're
Oh
not
yeah.
by
No.
yourself. You're not, yeah.
Whenever she's ready, you tell. I feel like I know everything about Natalie. She knows nothing about me. I've loved her since day one. I've been her biggest fan and cheerleader forever. So I would love to get my arms around her. I would love to
Oh
get.
yeah, that would be great to meet her. And plus too, though, we have, and I mean, well, let's. I'll let Welcome. Thank you for coming because I'm going to end this and then we'll talk where the recording is. Like, you have been such an
Yeah,
inspiration, and we're so
thank
grateful that
you.
you chose us in our little, you know, trailer podcast right now at this moment. Like, we're just,
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Like truly, the
yes,
honor is mine.
yes. So we're going to
All my
close
love.
it. We love you guys. And then I'm going to stop recording right now. Hold on. Stop.
Hey,